Hello, everybody. Let me introduce myself. My name is Brenda Elkins-Wylie. Um, I'm going to be talking about domestic violence. There'll be other things I talk about, but just the whole reason I wanted to get on YouTube is to speak about domestic violence. Tell you a little bit about myself. First of all, I'm very new to this, and I've been like postponing and postponing this, but it's really time for me to stop. The procrastination. I have 5 children, 18 grandchildren, and I'm a pet parent. I have an associate arts degree in journalism. I'm a writer and an artist. I am someone's aunt, someone's niece, someone's cousin. I am also a survivor of domestic violence. The last time that I was involved in a domestic violence relationship was in 2014. Not my first one, not my second one, but my third one. And after that one was over with, I had to have some time to think about what was wrong with me that I continued to get into relationships like this. We all have to evaluate ourselves. And so I started thinking about what could have happened that I would attract these men. Well, most of the time, we blame it on our fathers. In my case, my father died when I was three and a half years old. So it had to come to my mother. I'm my mother's oldest child and my father's baby. I'm the striking image of my dad. We look very much like him. It hurt for me to have to go back and look at the things that I had to look at. But I realized why I was choosing the men that I was. It was my mother. And one of the first things I remember her saying to me as a little kid, and I don't even think I was 5 years old, but she told me she never wanted a daughter. Well, hell, where do you go from there? I didn't know it at the time, but that started it, you know. There was never anything good she had to say about me. And, guys, don't get me wrong. I don't feel sorry for myself. There was a time I did because I thought I should have this Leave It to Beaver type of childhood. But I'm finding out not a whole lot of people have a Leave It to Beaver childhood. But I thought about the things that happened. And my mother was a cruel woman. Now, she didn't drink. She didn't cuss. She wasn't running around with men. But she was not a good mother. Now, she did teach me a lot of good things. But I have to look at the reality of it. A person that is a domestic violence victim or formal victim is a person that has had bad feelings about themselves. They don't feel good about who they are. And they feel more sorry for the person that's committing the violence than they do themselves. And they make excuses for that person. My mother was my first domestic violence experience. I was never good enough. Now, I was smart, but I was never pretty enough. There was a lot of things that I was never enough. But my brother, on the other hand, and not his fault at all, my brother, on the other hand, was, her favorite, so he could do no wrong. Well, as parents, we're the very first teachers of our children. I know you've heard that before. They learn everything from us. They learn how to treat themselves from us. They learn how to treat each other. We're the first teachers. So if your first teacher is telling you that you're ugly, if your first teacher is telling you that you're not worth anything, then where do you go from there? How are you going to pick a good partner when the person that's supposed to be your first teacher and the one that is supposed to love you unconditionally is the one that is putting you down? Well, that's what happened to me. So the guys that I lived my life with, well, they were like my mother. And my mother had a third grade education. So usually the guys I was usually smarter. And I'm not saying that because I'm bragging or whatever. I am very smart and I love to read. And, as a kid going to school, I was bullied in school. So now I'm being bullied at home and I'm being bullied in school. So my self-image wasn't that great. Anytime a guy showed me some attention, I just, I just forgot all about me. Well, it took me a long time. It took me a lot of crying, a lot of anger, a lot of cussing, a lot of fussing, a lot of asking my supreme being why. Well, I had the why. It was already there. So I have spent my time looking myself over and checking myself, which I have to do quite often, to make sure that I don't get into a relationship like this again. And when it looks like the person that I am starting a relationship with isn't quite clicking with me, if he's not giving me what I'm giving him, I no longer make those excuses. I I can't stress this enough. As parents, we discipline our children. We talk to our children. Hopefully, we root for our children. But as parents, we have to teach our children to love themselves first. How can you possibly pick out a decent partner when you don't love yourself? You're not going to attract somebody that, well, you might. I'm not saying it's impossible, but generally, you're not going to attract somebody that loves you when you don't love yourself. And that's what I have had to do, which is why I'm sitting up here with no makeup on. You're getting the natural me. And I want more concerned about the words that you hear from me than I am concerned about how I look to you. I still fight a battle, I'm cautious. I have to be careful that I'm not so quick to judge, but I watch and I listen. And I won't talk a lot today. This is just the beginning, but I do want to get this message out. And again, as I said, I can't stress enough, the way we treat ourselves, the way we allow others to treat us says something to our children. You are training your child either to be a domestic abuser or a domestic violence victim. To me, a bully is a domestic violence abuser who has supposedly grown up. He's a bully. He's no different. He's insecure, just like a bully is in school. Has a child. I was basically a nerd, which I don't have a problem with being a nerd. I go on, fly. I guess the fly wants to listen too, but I don't have a problem being a nerd. In fact, probably in the very near future, I'm going to go back and get my Bachelor of Arts in History. But I want you to really look at what you say to your child. I want you to look at what you do. children are paying attention. I don't care whether it's your parent, if you're sitting in church and you're hearing gossip and they're up there preaching about Jesus and the love of Jesus, but when somebody walks into the church and they're rolling their eyes at the person, a child is paying attention. Kids aren't dumb. And parents have, it used to be, now I'm 59 years old, and it used to be where they had the saying, children should be seen and not heard. Well, children are listening a lot. And you better watch the message that you're sending to them. Now, my 5 children, I won't, go into their names or anything because it's private. Was I a good mother? Was I a good mother? I was all right. Could I have been better? Yes, I could have been better if I had known better. If I could go back and do it again and know what I know now, I would do better. My children had to suffer because of me. Some things that I went through and not giving them enough attention, some of them. I mean, some of my kids understand. They're very forgiving. But I wish I had known better. So before our children go out and get with a potential domestic abuser, we need to teach them about how important they are to us, how important they need to be to themselves. And that's a message that I didn't get. And so I'm going to be talking, like I said, off and on about this. Sometimes I'm going to talk about other things, but this is something that's very important to me, and it needs to be heard. We're constantly hearing about domestic violence. The lady that was murdered, I think it was last week or week before last, with her 2 daughters. And we're hearing how good of a father this guy was, how good of a husband this guy was. Why? Why? How good could he have been if he killed his wife and his 2 daughters? We need to stop it. And I really hope the churches are talking more about this, because just because somebody goes to church and they're giving money, plenty of money in the basket, doesn't mean that they're always a good person. So again, I won't speak long today. Every now and then I'll read a poem. I'll talk about something different, but this is something that's very close to my heart. So I'm going to say bye. Be blessed. God, and I hope you're doing all right. I really do. Bye-bye.